Welcome to Dear Alice, a lifestyle approach to interior design.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Dear Alice. We have another episode for you today. This one, we are talking about agree to disagree. So we're going to fight it out on this podcast. We put this out to...
Yes. I mean, I'm probably going to win, not going to lie, but I've been working out.
I have really heavy toddlers, Corey, so I don't underestimate my biceps right now.
This is also a continuation of the episode from last week.
Yes.
This is just our listeners' comments when we polled our Instagram audience. So we wanted to get to them because you guys took time, to respond. So that's what we're doing today.
Yep. Excellent. We sure are. But first, you guys, did you know that we offer design services? We offer...
Shut up.
Not joking. We offer not one, but two design services. Both have designers with degrees on the program. We have one that is just for home furnishing design, completely free service, complimentary. You can work with our designers that know every single line that we carry here at Alice Lane. So they're like your Disneyland Fast Pass to getting your home furnished, because you can put your entire budget towards furnishings and you can work with a designer that knows everything we offer, and they can help you get that look in your home. We're nationwide. We can ship to warehouses all over the United States. We've got a network of them, and then they can bring that out to your house to the last mile and white glove deliver it. So it's a really fantastic, easy process. They can get started right away. And again, that's called home furnishing design. The other service we offer is Alice Lane Interior Design, which, Suzanne, do you want to tell them about what we do at ALID?
Yes, ALID, we do anything from like new builds to remodels, but it's a lot more construction based, from the very beginning to like the fruition of the plans down to like the last accessory styled and placed. So we really do credit ourselves as being like beautiful designers and being very technical. So anything that has to do with actual, like if we need to move walls and adjust those plans before they're completely solid, we do that because we know how functional and beautiful a home can be. And those are when you start to make those decisions, down to like your tile, your cabinetry, your plumbing. Again, all the polarizing decisions that you have to make a million of when you're doing a project. We help you with that. So we would help you with all those things, also with furnishings down to accessories. So that's like the very full service that we offer. And we love it. We're good at it. Builders love us nationwide. We're very technical. And
we're accepting projects for 2024. So if you have something you want to get started on, please give us a call. On the website, there is a tab called Design Services.
Yep. On alicelanehome.com, you just go to Design Services and you'll actually see forms for the home furnishings design and then for ALID. So whichever one you're interested in, you go there, you fill out the form, it goes to that department, and then we can get you guys set up with an appointment. It's really easy, really fun. I think both programs help you kind of figure out what you are. So we really want this to be individual to you. And please give us a call. We'd love to work for you.
Amen. Okay.
Awesome.
Should we get into it?
Yeah. We're talking about host chat.
Yes.
We're going to go best meal you've ever had.
I know.
Best
It's
meal.
like end of the day. We're like, are you hungry?
Yes.
Yeah.
Suzanne is a foodie. She loves food. Yes. And
are you a foodie?
I feel like Suze is like emotional the way she talks about food and experiences, and she'll do little things with her fingers to describe it. And she cares about the garnishes and the sauces and all of the accoutrement, not just the meal itself, which is beautiful. And when I hear Suzanne talk about food, I realize that I am not a foodie. I wonder if it stems from I developed type 1 diabetes when I was 19. And so I look at food like math, because I'm trying to count my carbohydrates and my protein and know how it's going to balance in my system, so I know what kind of insulin shot to take. And so I learned I can't be emotional about what I eat, because even though I feel like a donut, my blood sugar's at 300, I can't have it. And so food became more of a science to me, and it also is
a chore almost. Yeah,
and it's also like one more decision we have to make at the end of the day. Like we get home, and since we're empty nesters, we'll be like, what do we want to do about food? Because we're both tired and we both made a million decisions in a day. And so it's more about convenience at that point than what do I feel like?
What's easiest?
But when I do have a good meal, I really appreciate it. I've just learned to not be as emotional about it. And it's sad, right? Like I envy that Suze, is able to just, have all of these emotions free about it, but not have to have her head get in the way.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that that's why. So we're gonna get into best meal.
Yeah, best meal.
Best meal. Okay. We have a dear friend. His name is Viet Pham, and he's an amazing chef. He owns several restaurants here. Pretty Bird is delightful, but there was one restaurant that he opened up years ago, and that was called Forage, and it was a chef's menu. And so you go in, you pay for that, like the whole suite of things. And I want to say it was like over 10, I feel like, entree, just little experiences and little pieces of art that would keep coming out to you. And you guys, it was spiritual. We went there a few times while it was open. He's since gone on to do a lot of other things that are probably more easier to manage because he has
Bobby Flay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I know. He's an Iron Chef. He does all the things. He's in every magazine. You guys should look him up because he's not only the loveliest human, but ridiculously handsome and a crazy good chef. So
his name is Viet Pham. How do you spell it?
Viet, and Pham is Pham.
Yeah.
That's lovely. So yeah, you'll see a bunch of stuff come on from the Food Network, from Food and Wine, but that meal at Forage, every time I ate there, again, back to like decision making, I can just have a chef's menu and like have, like, as an artist, I would want people to trust me. And I think of him as a 100% an artist who understands taste, understands composition, how to like order things. Like the way it like bounced from like one moment to the next was just so beautiful, and it just built upon each other. See, I'm doing things with my hands. It was like that.
But you're selling me on it. That's what's going on.
Yeah,
No.
I actually, for my birthday, went to Forage, and so I got to experience it. And I think his restaurant, Pretty Bird, that we still have today, in Salt Lake and Park
There's
City,
like
three of them.
locations, 3 or 4 different locations.
There's one 9th and 9th, and
It's the best chicken sandwich.
It is.
Yeah.
Even like the colors like of his cabbage and everything, like he's so darn good. See, I'm doing that thing.
yep,
She loves it.
that's a
Yeah.
season.
Well, please.
What's your favorite meal?
I went to Glendale, Arizona a couple months ago with my dad, and he was like, "Oh, I feel like a steak tonight." I'm like, "Yeah, it sounds great." And so he's like, "I'll look up places." He's not like a foodie type of person, and he was like, "Oh, Arrowhead Grill sounds good." I'm like, "Whatever." Yeah, it didn't to me, the name, but we went there, and it's the best meal I've ever had. Yeah,
No way.
yeah. The service was amazing. The steak was the most expensive steak I've ever had, but it was great. And yeah, like we got a bunch of sides. It was
Yum.
literally the best meal.
Ah,
And
I
yeah,
do love a steakhouse.
yeah.
That's
I mean, I've been to like
good.
Nobu. That was amazing too. I feel like that's
Yeah.
like the, I don't know, phoned in answer type of thing, but
Yeah.
they're great as well. So, but Arrowhead Grill, Glendale, Arizona.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
So good.
was
Put it on my
amazing.
list.
Yes. Very good.
Okay.
Okay. Host chat.
get
Should
into
we
it.
do it?
Okay. Yes. So these are all like comments, questions from our Instagram audience. So this person asks, other designers' style in Utah that we either agree or disagree with.
Came out of the gate.
I know,
Boy,
coming out
they
hot.
came swinging.
Jeez.
Okay.
Let me just say that I'm so grateful that there are other designers and other styles in Utah, because there's so much work for everybody. And I do feel like home is so personal that they get to have a kind of a front row seat, if you will, now that we have Instagram, of what styles are available. And so they're able to say, that looks like home to me, and I want to do that. Some styles look more predictable to others, but that's also really good for the person that really wants to know exactly what they're going to get, because they see that same result again and again and again in homes across the nation.
Formulaic.
See, I think that they're almost doing, some people are doing it, their clients a disservice by just giving them something that's a little spoon-fed. I think as a designer,
Coming out swinging.
yeah, we should, the job is to challenge the client. And the more you can do that, I think they're going to love their home longer, and it won't be quote unquote trendy.
Mhm.
That's my
Well,
opinion on it. But
Sorry.
I feel like the work we're doing is really individual and very personal. We spend a lot of time trying to understand the client and what their look and feel is, and trying to understand their inspirations, what their backgrounds are, what their favorite likes are, what the region the house is in. Certainly, like, they might bring other projects of ours to the table, but we're never going to duplicate the work, because they've paid us to create something custom for them. So it would just be a disservice to both them and us to recreate something that
Yeah.
we've done before.
mhm.
So we don't do it. We won't do it. And design is, I feel like if you're building a brand new house, like let's break the mold and let's start over again.
Yeah.
You know?
And it can still be long lasting if it's personal.
Yeah.
I think you lose the personal in a lot of what I'm seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it goes back to the HGTV article of, again, just like the copy paste.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, it's a disservice to everybody if you are a copy and paste,
Mm-hmm.
I think. And I don't think when you think about like long lasting and what has staying power, it's something that's emotionally personal to you that will stay with you forever because you loved it,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And sometimes if it's a trend or if it feels a little bit more vanilla, it's disposable, you know? But if you're passionate about it, and not everything's going to be like that in the home, I will say there will be things that you will rotate through, and that's okay. But just making sure that like it has a stamp of individuality. I think that is.
And by
That's what
individuality, it's
yeah.
like more than just putting your kids' pictures in the frames, but this could be anybody's house, right?
Mhm.
Other than the photos in the frames. So I do think that that's unfortunate. And that doesn't just happen in Utah. That happens everywhere, right? Everybody's sort of
And
developed.
across multiple mediums. It's not just interior design.
For sure.
So,
For sure.
but like when I was really heavy into like the Provo music scene, one thing I loved about it is there was a lot of talent, and you could hear a band, you'd be like, oh, that's so-and-so's band or whatever. And it was awesome.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I know, maybe you guys don't feel this way. I feel if I'm like seeing a bunch of pictures of a bunch of, different design firms, I can't distinguish between them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like that for myself because I can't pick out things like, oh, this feels like, this person, or I know where they like got this from. Like it just, it feels too homogenized for me. And I like someone's personal touch
I agree.
on something.
Yeah, it does feel like the artistry has gotten lost in the formula, right?
A little diluted.
Yeah. And there are several firms that I feel like I can't tell the difference from one to the next. If you just showed me a picture and said, whose work is this? I'd be like, this is one of 4 designers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Here in Utah.
Yeah, that's how I
totally.
feel.
Yeah. So I don't know. But again, like the client knows what they're going to get, and they probably, them and their significant other, both feel safe in that decision. And that it's good that there's plenty of those offerings here in the state, because I'm sure it's wildly popular.
And I think maybe some of like the default answer to why there's so much copy and paste, it's like, because that's what everyone wants. But that's where I'm saying, like, as a designer, it's your job to push what someone wants, and then that will become, the desire is to have something that's your own, you know. But
well, and I think for that designer, like, yeah, if somebody's hiring them, they're probably so excited to be working with that designer. They'd probably like just about anything they put out, right? Because they're like, I've seen your work, I trust you, I want you to push me, right?
Yep.
So they're really gonna like so much of what you put out. So if they did challenge themselves a little bit more, I think the client would be happy too.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
To that, we have a client that just recently, I got on the phone with him, and he was working with an architect. And he said, he's just like, I want you to challenge the architect. I want you to challenge me. And he's like a very successful individual. And so that was like a real like quest to me to be like, all right, Sue, like put your gloves on. Let's, we're lovely to work with.
Game
We're not
time.
gonna like kid anybody, but to just like really bring it. And we always say we'd rather be pushed, or we'd rather be pulled back than pushed forward. I'd rather someone say, okay, I like that. Let's just like tone it down a little bit and be like, okay, but I don't ever want someone to tell me, this is really boring, and it's the exact same thing that I showed you.
I expected more.
I expected
that's
more.
That's a jab, right?
Yeah,
If someone told you
yeah.
that, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. So does that answer your question?
Totally.
Okay.
Yep.
Right.
The next one, you can have 90s oak cabinets in a kitchen, and your kitchen doesn't have to look like the 90s.
I disagree.
Me too.
Well, also, here's why I think I'm a good one to answer this question. I graduated in 1993 from high school. So I remember the 90s very well. I also have an oak kitchen in my current home. My mom had an oak kitchen in the 90s. They could not be more unique. We were talking just before the podcast about this. There's something about that honey oak color.
It's orange.
It's orange. The hardware, also the cabinetry never went to the ceiling. So there's this big dust collector, maybe plants, faux plants lived up there with spider webs and dust all over them. Not you, Mom. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about everybody else.
Everyone else.
Yeah. But yeah, the ceiling today, the cabinetry goes to the ceiling, or there's a soffit with crown molding, but there's no longer the dust collection. Nobody has done honey oak since the 90s. I don't know if it's going to come back or not. You know what I mean? Like our oak came around again, and it came more grade or ceruse or toned down, but we have better lacquers today that don't yellow the woods like they did in the 90s.
Yep.
Yeah.
To me, that finish is 90s. I mean, I was born in 87.
Yeah.
So, you know, I like lived through that. That the home that I consider that I grew up in had those kitchen cabinets. And I'm just like,
Do you guys remember Oak
Yeah.
Plus?
Yeah.
It's like a whole furniture
yeah.
store, and they like
Dedicated
specialize
to oaks.
in that
Yeah.
honey oak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think definitely when we went to market, we're seeing woods warm up, but they're richer. And I think there's still kind of a shallowness to that honey oak. I don't think it's pretty, and I don't think it has the depth that even, you know, I think even with like the bleached ones or any of the ones that we have seen,
Yeah.
they at least have like, there's something linear
There's
about it, or there's some
a tone.
It's lovely.
There's better cuts today. We ceruse things, or not ceruse, excuse me. We quarter saw them or riff saw them, you know,
Yep.
riff saw them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like the details, like the shapes, like do you remember like the panel like would come off the doors, like kind of had like a double lip,
Yeah.
that, and it had like an arch that was,
Yes.
you know, kind of,
Uh-huh.
to me, that's,
yeah.
I mean, if that's 90s. If
This,
that's
well,
anything,
right now,
zero.
90s fashion is in, like, this is the 90s again. This is our take on it. And we just haven't seen a honey oak in this generation of the 90s again.
'Cause I think we left those things behind.
No, and
Did we
it-
learn?
Yes.
Exactly.
Like we ripped them out, and nobody wants to see them again because they're my age or around my age, right? We know better. We learned. So yeah, I disagree.
And if you inherited bad architecture or honey oak, like you're gonna have to just do some like big power moves to like band-aid it for the moment, and then just like plan on what is something that you love that you're gonna like replace it with, because I don't think it has long-lasting power at all.
Yeah.
So okay.
The next one. Bathroom hardware should be the same brand and finish as the plumbing fixtures. So I'm guessing hardware on cabinets.
I don't know about brand. You could do the same finish. Like let's just say your polished nickel across the board. You could do polished nickel knobs and your faucet and your shower suite. And I agree to that. If you,
I don't think it has to be though.
it doesn't have to be, but it also doesn't have to be the same. So like if I'm getting a Kohler faucet, I'm not getting Kohler knobs too, right?
No,
Do
but,
they
like,
sell
most-
knobs? Does Kohler sell knobs, hardware?
Probably. They probably do.
Oh, do you know what? Maybe she's
Like
talking about
rest-
like the shower hooks or the bathrobe hooks and the towel bars.
yeah.
Maybe they're saying that
That
whole
kind of
thing
hardware.
should be the same suite.
That
I
suite?
think that's
so.
lovely.
I think that's
I like
nice.
that.
Yeah, the uniformity. But I
If
think your
you're
cabinet
using-
knobs, like depending on like the finish of your cabinet,
Mhm.
and you want to be more decorative, like, and you want to go to like a gold or something, totally do it.
Yeah, you can mix that
So
up.
mix that up.
But I do agree. I also think that's the true for like use the whole suite. I also think that's true for appliances. Like if you're going to stick with, you know, Sub-Zero Wolf, stay with it for the whole suite. You want your handles to match, which is the same what we're saying here. We want, if we're using the Purist collection through Kohler, then your towel bars, your rope hooks, all of that is going to
Your
have
toilet
the
paper
same,
holder,
Yeah.
everything.
the same communication, the same language is happening, and it's going to look really high end and chic.
Cool.
Yeah.
The next person put where to put marble, but I'm going to say they're a place you should or should not, you know.
Put marble.
Yeah.
It depends on the person.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because marble we know is porous. We know we got to seal it a lot. We put it in kitchens and bathrooms and laundry rooms. If you're a perfectionist, you probably shouldn't have marble in very many places because it is a living finish and you're going to see wear tear on it. It can etch.
It's softer.
It is.
It's yeah. If you cut on it, you're
Mhm.
gonna see that. That's the
Yeah.
way marble
And
goes.
over time, it will all start to blend together a little bit, and it won't be like. But at the beginning, especially if my mother's a perfectionist, and I should not have done marble with her because she sees every little thing.
Yeah.
And she tries to fix it to make it perfect like the rest of everything else. But like we said, like if you just like live in it for a while, it'll become like the city of Carrera.
Yeah.
And it will all start to just like melt into each other. And there's an antiquity to it. So not everybody should have marble.
Yeah.
100%.
If you're a type A personality maybe, or you just like things to be perfect, I think it'll be dissatisfying for you to have marble. And there's so many amazing options today. You don't have to do marble.
Yeah.
Even though that look is trending, you're going to be great with quartzite. You're going to be really great with certain granites. Or you could do a quartz. You could do a man-made material if you wanted to, and you're going to get a really perfect outcome with that. Right?
Yep. And where we use it, kitchens, bathrooms. I think marbles have a lot of fun variety as far as colors go. And most stones have like some variety, but I feel like marble has the most.
Yeah.
When it comes to like different like options and being opinionated. So we use them everywhere. Mantles, we'll do carved stone mantles. We'll do like thresholds, like into bathrooms. And if you look on Pinterest for like a hot second, like that's like my whole feed is just like different applications of marble. I can't get enough of it. And they're all like opinionated, colorful ones with like, they're pink, orange, green,
They
everything.
look like candy nowadays. It's so
and
beautiful.
you're like even seeing pairings of different marbles like on a mantle, and I'm just like, oh, hot damn.
But I have to say,
like Willy Wonka's factory.
the conversation with marble is, in the beginning, if you're trying to decide what to use, it's less about durability. I don't feel like when we're looking at all of these extraordinary marbles, we're trying to figure out the best application to get a look and feel. And usually the homeowner is on that journey with you, and they just really want this look, right? And then they figure out how to seal it, how often to seal it, how to take care of it. All of that's figure outable. It's like getting the right look oftentimes that's leading the conversation, and less about the maintenance, because we live in a day and age where there's great sealants and great ways to take care of things. There's people that can even come service it for you. So
rehone it in 5 years.
So that shouldn't lead the conversation. If durability is your number one part of the conversation, then you probably don't care as much about
exotic colors and whatnot.
Yeah, totally. And again, there's so many species and breeds, and I swear to you, it could just be my age, but I swear to you, when we were growing up, marble was never a conversation. No. My mom's kitchen counters were tiled in the 80s and 90s. Like, people didn't have slabs for countertops.
Stuart Little,
Yeah.
which has its charm, like in a little cottage in
definitely.
England, but like not with the wood.
Yeah, I'm sure certain wealthy households had slab countertops, but it wasn't like today we're using it as backsplashes, whole bathrooms. Like, it's really on the scene, and they figured out ways over the last couple of decades how to take care of it, how to surface it, how to make it available in the world. We live in such an amazing time, and I really feel like you can live with marble comfortably as long as you're okay maintaining it. So you have to decide what feels best to you inside your psyche on how you feel about home and how you take care of home. And maybe, you're more relaxed and casual about, the etchings. You're like, yeah, of course this is going to happen. It's totally fine. Yeah. I'm going to get them resealed in 6 more months. Yeah. Or I'm just going to continue to let it do this until it all melts into itself, like Sue said.
Yeah. Cool. The next one is where to save versus where to splurge. So, I'll start this one off because this is how I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
I used to think this was my mindset, and I've since changed, that I should buy the cheaper thing, because let's say like a sectional or sofa. I'm going to buy the cheaper thing because I'm not in the home that I want to be in yet. I've even heard that argument from someone lately, and I thought to myself, I don't feel that way anymore. I'm just like, you can definitely move that sofa and sectional out of your home into the other one, and find a place for it. I think in buying a nice, something that you will use and that you appreciate, it's nice and expensive. Yeah. Do it now. Enjoy it now. Take it with you to your next home,
Yeah, it's certainly a greener way of thinking also, that we're not filling the landfills and, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Going through so much disposable furniture, and just saving up for the thing that you really, really love, and then just continue to build on that collection, I think is a really lovely, everlasting mentality to have for a lot of things. Like, have way less clothes in your closet, way less shoes. It's easier to make decisions rather than getting into all the fast fashion and things that sort of dissolve in the wash and don't look the same once they come out the other side. Yeah. It's hard, though, to bridle that when you're really excited to want to get a home, or maybe your partner in life feels differently than you do. So that's always something that can really hijack your ability to, let's just say like you've been married for a few years and you decide to have kids, right? You have to buy a lot of stuff all at once because you're like, oh my gosh, we're going to be parents.
Yeah.
And so it's, you're going to keep rubbing up against the same thing on quality versus like, well, it's such a short stage. The child's only he's going to be potty trained in 2 years. He's not even need this changing table. Why would we invest in it? Or, there's so many ways to feel about it. And there's so many different ways to get it done. Still buying quality, but buying used. But as far as the home goes, what are you going to invest in, Sue? And what are you going to splurge on? And what are you going to save on?
I think I'm going to invest in like where I'm sitting. Cause like just the pieces that you could take with you, things that your body's going to actually have interaction with. So like your sofas, my bed, honestly, the rug, still my feet are going to be on top of that. But that's what I find like has value to me. Mm-hmm. So the rug is important. The size of the rug, the construction of the rug is important to me. Can you get a look for less expensive that will be disposable? You betcha. But I would like my sofa, my rug, my art. That's what I'd spend my money on. Other things like side tables. Like if you can find the right scale or a small dining table or something from like a vintage place or like thrift some of these things, I'd probably try and get away with some of those things. My accents, I would go less on. And that's what I have done historically. Like, as I think about my purchasing decisions, like we had a vintage sofa before I bought like the silver leafed one from Alice Lane. Like that was my first like big purchase and I loved it. And then like in my next phase of life, like it changed to a different sofa, but I was able to sell that sofa. So I don't know, but the things that like I sit on that like we cuddle on with our kids, like those things are important to me. Like, and I think the upholstery of what you actually like end your days on, like your whole body, that's what you should invest in.
Yeah. Totally. I agree. I'm trying to think when I was young and just getting started, we bought a sofa that we still are obsessed with today. And my brothers even said, hey, can I buy that sofa from you? It's like 22 years old. And it is such a cream puff and sits great and looks great. And I'm like, no, you can't. I'm always going to have this sofa. I love it so much. Where did you buy it? And when we lived in Virginia, I don't even remember the store, but it was a nice store. And it's this blue velvet sofa that we just love. It's down-filled and so comfy. I do feel so good about buying something really, really great. And then just, I remember going to buy a dining set after that for the same Virginia house we had and almost buying a set just to fill the space. And I just couldn't pull the trigger for some reason. I didn't love it. I loved the idea of this room being done, but I just couldn't love it. And I wasn't in the furniture business and whatnot. I'm so glad I waited and showed the discipline. Sometimes checking the box feels better to people.
Yeah. I used to do that and I hate it.
Than doing it right. Well, but yeah, you have to learn through that though, right? So I don't know. We all feel differently about it. There's also like certain deals or sales going on that sometimes catapult a purchase because you're like, oh my gosh, this is the perfect time to buy the frame TV because, they're all on sale right now, or the old models are, there's always something that you can get a good deal on something that you've wanted. But I think case goods, you want to do that right. It's frustrating when those don't work well or the wood, it looks terrible or something like that.
Nails are on.
Yeah. Art, I totally agree with. It's a luxury to buy fine art like what you have a lot of, Sue. But there are ways to buy art from new up and coming artists that are less expensive.
I know. And I would say like most of my art is from just like the stuff that they're trying to move out of their gallery and things. There's ways to get art, like small, like paper art, and you frame it beautifully. So you're spending a little bit more on the framing, but the actual art doesn't cost you that much, but it looks expensive. Yeah. So, and I think you can go on Etsy. You can go in so many places and find vintage art. I think
and vintage rugs. Yeah.
Vintage rugs, any of those. And I think that again, it's good for the planet. It's kind of like giving something new love. And I think that those two are heirloom quality usually.
Sure.
So.
Also, when I was building my home, I invested in lighting. I hung beautiful lights throughout the house. I was like, we're getting the house done. We're getting it all installed. The sconces, everything is going to be right. I can live without furniture or getting the furniture exactly right for a minute, but I just don't want to have to buy something cheap to later install something better. So
And rarely do people do that. The
Yeah.
stuff that's like fixed to your house, rarely do they like, it's like, it feels like too much work because you have to have someone come in and take it down and put up the new one. There's
yeah, or they
dust.
just put caps everywhere, and then they have to eventually find those chandeliers. But I remember the first compliment I got on my house was my brother walked through and he's like, "Wow, the lighting is your house looks like a lighting showroom. The lighting's incredible in your home." And I was like, "Wow, thank you."
Did it.
I like that room might be empty, that front room, but I at least got the lights right. So I would splurge on getting those things that are fixed to your walls. One thing that one of the designers that works for us said, she just barely built a home with kind of a tract home builder. So you choose from the design center what you did. And she said, I would never, ever, ever let the builder put the glue on mirrors on the walls. She said, don't have them do it because if you ever try to take them off, it ruins the sheetrock.
Yep.
So she said, just tell them you don't even want a mirror, and then you buy your own mirrors because that's going to look higher end and get your own sconces than trying to have the builder just hurry in. And she also said they would only do 1 or 2 tone paint, but it was really expensive to do 2 tones. So she just said she treated it like the Guggenheim, much like Sue, and she went white on everything and did 1 tone. And then you could always come back and paint a room and leave those white moldings if you wanted to, but just like little tiny ways to get around building like your first home and making it look more like your ever after house, right? By just pulling a few of those tricks. We should do a podcast on there and have her come on. Yeah, because she just really went through the process, and I think she looks like she has a custom home with more of a spec home builder. Yeah.
Cool. Open floor plan and tall ceilings versus cozy and separate spaces. I'm kind of like I'm like
in separate spaces.
Yeah,
for me,
I'm a little bit in between because I like a great room, just to be able to interact with people that are, I don't know, like just like at a party. I'm like, hey, like that type of thing.
That is nice.
I like that. This is my personal opinion, so sorry, but if like the whole like super tall ceilings like in a family room, like it's too much for me.
It's like a racquetball court.
Yeah, it really does. And it's almost $2,000 for me. I can't feel at home in that. So we looked at like a floor plan that, ours was a floor plan that was created already, and we like kind of messed with it a little bit. We looked at one that had that, and the idea of it to me sounds nice, but I just couldn't imagine like decompressing at the end of the day there, because I'm like, am I in a grand hall or what's happening here? That's how I felt. That's me personally. So
Totally.
I think a good floor plan has a little bit of both. Like a gathering area does have room for like your people to gather, but it has enough of like beautiful corridors and like journeys to like other experiences. Think about my mom's house, which was built in 1911. And so it's very much like little compartmentalized home, right? And it's like definitely doesn't have a great room. But she has a kitchen like toward the back of her house, which makes sense for that era of house, and then like a living room at the front. And I tell you what, I do like it when you do, I feel like that's how you entertain, the kitchen and the living room, and everyone's watching the game and we're all yelling and eating at the same time. But there's something really fun about going to my mom's house because there's all the guys or whoever's watching games and there's a big crowd in the living room. But then I usually go back with her and I talk with her, and like there's usually a group of girls and stuff, and we're just like talking back in the kitchen uninterrupted by them. So I don't know. I can make an argument for both depending on how you live. I like small little spaces though. That's what I've experienced in all my homes though. So
yeah. I think today, if you're building a new home, you're for sure gonna do the kitchen great room situation. Even if like the rest of my rooms are closed off, they have like big cased openings, like not doors shutting off the main rooms to like the main hallway in my house. But that area we're entertaining and company and everything, it's just one big space, and we just experienced that throughout the holidays, and it's just really fun energy, and you can yell across and see what's going on, and nobody ever feels like they're alone to the other. So I feel like I'd always want those spaces in concert with each other, because that's kind of the heart of the home, both of those rooms. But it is really fun. One of my favorite things to do is to be in one room and looking across into my hallway and another room, just like those transitions between spaces, being in one scene and experiencing another. And just, I don't know, it's just really fun. It's beautiful in photography when you see that in interior design books and magazines. And you can create a whole scene when you have these individual rooms, even if it's just a case opening, no doors, but you can still the room wraps itself around you. And it's hard in those great big rooms. Nobody wants to wallpaper them because it would be awfully expensive, right? It would just require too much labor, too much expense, making any changes to it, drapery 2 stories tall. It's a big feat to work those out and to make them feel warm. Anything you're going to do to warm it up is just going to be 4 times more money than a normal room size. So yeah, but I think people that building them probably know that, and they have the pocketbook to go ahead and furnish a grand room. And for entertaining, my gosh, it's so fun.
It's really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Architecture, I would say the scale of yours too is really nice, because you are a little bit lower in the kitchen. It still feels like healthy, and feels small or anything. And then you do have the lift in your family room. So even though they're attached, they still have this intimate moment where I could tuck away and tell you a secret over here while all this is going on. And I think giving yourself some of that, I think that's the perfect medium.
It's still dynamic enough that, because they are.
I like too that yours doesn't completely line up. You know, there's kind of this bend in the architecture, and I think that's more interesting. And you know what? I'm going to say this right now. I think that the pendulum's going to swing. And I think it's been this for so long in these big, massive, great rooms. And I think people are starting to feel their human self in spaces again. And I think they like it, and they like a difference of temperature, a difference of color, something different than the all white room. And so I'm really curious to watch how architecture, instead of going in, you feel the same kind of formula. We've all seen the floor plans. We've all walked through the same thing over and over again. I'm curious how it's going to evolve in the next decade.
Yeah, for sure.
Really curious.
I talked to one architect at McAlpin in Tankersley. Greg Tankersley said, but you don't want to build some big home where it's just you and your spouse at the end of the day, and you've done raising your kids, and you're rattling around in there like 2 Tic Tacs,
So true.
And
so true.
I've just never forgot that visual, because at the end of the day, unfortunately, our kids, it's the plan in life generally for the kids to grow up and go have their own lives, much like our parents allowed us to do, right? Now, obviously, there's circumstances that are all going to come up, and, I'm sure my kids will move back in with me, and I'll be so happy about it. But at some point, though, you might end up with an empty nest. And what is that house going to feel like with just 2 people in it? And it is something to consider if you're building the ever after home, is what is this going to feel like for just you and me? And is this how we want to live? And I think that goes back to the traditional idea of, well, the primary bedroom then should be on the main level, right? My parents' home has 3 levels of heating and air conditioning, and it's in zones because they just live on the main level. When all of us kids come home to stay at their house, they turn on the heat or air in the different zones, either upstairs or downstairs where the bedrooms are. And then we fill up the house again. But for the most part, their lives can take place on the main floor of their home without them rattling around in there like 2 Tic Tacs, Yeah. Yeah.
We have time for a couple more.
Okay.
We've talked about this one, karate chopping pillows. I saw the Kardashians. I was watching
Do tell.
that the other day.
Yeah.
I
do
think
too.
it was their Palm Springs house, but the pillow was just
Aggressive.
gnarly. Yeah. I was like, guys, enough. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Put your finger on the pulse,
Yeah.
So yeah, and it looked ridiculous to me. So that's crazy.
And the karate chop was proof that it was down, not poly.
Yes.
That was the reason that, let's talk about origin of that. I think right now, and I think we saw it best, I think still when I see Suzanne Kasser's spaces, you never see a karate chop. And she's been around the block for a long time. Maybe she had an exaggerated one at one point. I doubt it, because she's so good about effortless living and it just feeling
just graceful.
Yeah.
It's just graceful
you
to
can just
not
still lie on it, and you still kind of fluff it and everything, and you put it there and just make sure it still feels full and has some movement in it, but it doesn't have to be so aggressive.
Yeah, I think if you shake the pillow, the upside down, so you have the zipper at the top of your hands, and you shake it so all the down can get down toward and then turn it around so it's nice and full, and just barely push in on both sides. It just makes it look really soft and full. And then set that down and kind of pull the bottom of the pillow down a little bit so it's slightly leaning. It looks so homey and inviting that you just want to like lay down or lean up against it and, you know, pair another pillow with it. But I think that that's so chic. And I mean, you kind of take a page out of a book in Arc Digest or Elle Decor, any recent issues of magazines. I just don't think you're going to see a karate chop.
It feels too forced now.
It does, but also here's what I'm going to say. I think most of us are cleaning our own homes. Those people that have help cleaning their homes, I think it's something that the cleaning people do because maybe that's what you've always done. So even though it's kind of like skinny jeans are out right now, some people are still wearing skinny jeans, you know? And I think it's one of those things that you're like, it's not in right now, but they don't know any better. And they're just putting the house together the way that you've always wanted it, which is to just hit that really hard in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm sure like Kris Jenner, she doesn't know any better, right?
Yeah.
It's just probably the people that are keeping her house that are doing it that way. And she probably is like, oh, I need to tell you, karate chopping the pillows is out. And what is in now?
Especially when we're filming.
Which sounds so funny. Like,
it sounds
so
we
funny.
sound ridiculous.
But just like as a tip for you guys moving forward, just be effortless.
Yeah, be effortless.
Yeah, that's
be
the look.
believable. Yeah, not such hard triangular shapes.
Yeah, don't try so hard.
Yeah,
I think like that goes for anybody.
that's
stop trying so hard.
really well said. Thank you, Sue.
Yes.
We'll make this last one about how many pillows is too many.
Oh.
I think
Yeah.
size.
Size matters.
Yeah, and where and what like we're talking a bed,
Yeah.
sofa.
It depends on the length of the sofa. I think for most sofas, I like 3 pillows, 2 on one side, 2 on the other. If the sofa's long, I like 2 on each side.
2 on one side, 1 on the other. Sorry.
Yep.
Okay.
And here's another
Are we
formula.
doing 22s or
22s, 22-inch squares.
Mhm.
And I want the 2 on each side to match. Let's just say I'm going to use one of my favorite pillows is our ivory silk pillow. What's it called? Luna Silk.
Yep.
So pretty.
My favorite pillow is the Luna Silk 22-inch that we sell on our website. I like it in my bedroom. I like it in my great room. I like it 2 of them on the daybed. I love this pillow, you guys. I can't get enough of it. So I'm going to put 2 Luna Silks in each corner of the sofa, and then I'm going to find 1 pillow that's going to maybe either be patterned or colored, and I'm going to put that in the front. Now, if my sofa is really long, like I have our Theo sofa in our living room, then I put 2 pillows in front.
107 inches.
107 inches long, yeah. So I put Luna Silks, and I put 2 pillows in front. And those don't have to match. It depends on the style, too, of the person. If they're...
more casual. I still think the 3 is good.
Yeah.
I like the 2 matching, though, for sure. And
Yeah.
just like one a ball pillow or...
the ball pillow
anything
is like
such a
the big
good.
pillow crush craze right now. Everybody
That's what I
wants
have
the
as
ball
my third
pillow.
on my big. And
Yeah.
I only have 3 pillows on my long 108-inch sofa.
So you have 2 matching and 1
Yeah,
ball?
but they're leaf coat, and so they're really sized. They're
24
scaled.
inch
They're 24 inches,
or
so like to
25,
have
yeah.
2 more, those things would just be tossed. And so I have 2
Yeah,
of
there's
those
no room for
with
it.
a ball pillow, and then I walk away. But I'm more casual.
Yeah.
So if you're more formal, 2 and 2 is
I
beautiful
just-
on a length.
You just don't want to have to take pillows off to sit down. You want to be able just to sit into it, right? And
Yeah.
be comfortable. Or lay that pillow down and lay on top of it and put your feet up and watch TV. So,
Yep. What about if like the sofa's this? You know what I mean? And there's an arm here.
uh-huh.
What do you or this is a sectional, you know?
So a sofa
Where's the
chaise.
sketchbook?
No, like this
Oh, it's a sofa love. Like a,
Yes. Yep.
right?
Sofa love,
Return. Yeah.
So this is shorter than this
Okay,
side.
so that corner of the sectional is going to get 3 pillows, in my opinion. What do you think?
And then do nothing on the
Depending on the
arm
sitting.
closest to it and just on the other opposite side.
No, you're putting one in that arm, and you're going to put 1 or 2 over on this side.
Okay.
It depends on the length of the sofa again and how this is going to scale. Yeah, Susan's going to sketch this for you.
Okay, so what you're talking about.
Because that corner is,
It's usually a
Um,
deep one.
it is, and it's going to totally eat like a 24-inch pillow, and then you're going to step down with, I think, 22-inch,
Mhm.
maybe 22 inches, unless it's not super, super deep. He's saying a sofa love. Are you a
Oh.
sofa?
Yeah, that's
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do like I'd probably do at least 2 on this end, 1 on this end, and then
Uh-huh.
2 to 3 depending on, or like a ball pillow or something just to throw it off.
Yeah.
You know, so if you can see this, can you see this, anybody?
Hold that up to your camera, Corey.
Okay.
So basically, to those of you that are listening and not watching, What we said was in the corner of your sectional, we're going to do 3 pillows. Maybe 2 are ball pillow, 2 are square pillows, maybe a ball pillow throws off the rhythm. On the short end of the sofa, which is maybe more like a love seat on one end, you're just going to put 1 pillow on that arm. And then on the opposite arm of the longest run of the sectional is going to be 2 pillows. So yeah, kind of odd numbers overall.
5, 6.
A bunch of small ones. We're no on that.
No to 18-inch pillows for the most part, unless it's a really shallow sofa.
Well, and I feel like usually if they walk into the room, they're like, it's just not right. They're missing end tables, lights, and their pillows are wrong.
Yeah.
The rug's probably not big enough either.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, but pillows are just going to be frustrating at the price that they are.
You get what you pay for? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm
Just
saying.
close your eyes, you hand over your card, and then you only have to do it once. Cry once, buy once.
Yeah, you're going to love them forever if you get the right size and if you get the right fill, downfill.
Yes.
You can find downfilled pillows at like Home Goods and stuff, but you've got to that's when you do the karate chop, guys. You're going to karate chop those pillows in the aisle of wherever you're shopping, because if it doesn't karate chop, it's polyfill.
And it hits you back.
Yeah.
If that pillow hits you back, it's not the right one for
I
you.
think the only time you can get away with a polyfill is outdoor furniture. They're usually poly because they won't be they can, unless you have like
water has to go through it, and that's usually a polyfill. They are getting better. There's some down, but it's very rare that you find it.
Yeah.
So
So that's what polyfill is for, in my opinion, is outdoor. And then indoor, you're going to be down.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Good.
That's it for today.
okay.
Awesome. Thanks
Yeah.
for listening, everybody. If you guys have questions for our podcast, please send them to us. We love hearing from you. Love it. It's one of our favorite things. We like to sort of sit around and read reviews or look at questions that come in before we start to write any of these podcasts. And we really are doing this for you. And so we want to know what you guys want to know and what you're thinking. And we love your reviews. And if you like the podcast, please leave us a 5-star review. It helps other people find us, and it helps them know that you like the podcast. So thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Hey, thanks for listening. If you like our show, please leave a 5-star rating.